G'day legends, I hope that you are having a fantastic day. Now, as you're aware, or as you may be aware, I have my scans this week following my chemotherapy to check up on what the status of my brain tumour is. But I've also been trying something new for this cycle of treatment as well, and that is going on a ketogenic diet. Now, I'm not one for many sort of alternative treatments. I think a lot of it is just no more than left the group chat, to be honest. But as far as all of the alternative treatments and what people recommend of this and that and eat this tree root and blah, 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 the one that appeals to me the most, because on the basis it seems to have not only the most research in it, but at the most simple level seems like, well, that makes sense, is a ketogenic diet. And most simply being, well, these tumours rely on glucose, and if you cut out all carbs, all sugars, and you run in ketosis, on ketones instead of glucose, well, there's nothing for the tumour to eat. So that doesn't mean that it's going to disappear, but it means it just may really, really stop or slow down its growth. So between the last scan and this scan, I've done 3 and a bit rounds of chemotherapy. Remember, I got into the first few days and I got so unwell that the doctor then turned it off. So I've done 3 and a bit rounds of the chemo over 4 months. But I've also done 4 months of a very strict keto diet. Now, as far as my research into keto diets, and look, there's probably people far more research and knowledgeable than I, but it seems like you only really get therapeutic benefit out of this, so like medical clinical benefit, if you're under 10 to 15 grams of carbs a day, which typically a keto diet is anything under 30 or 50, but the therapeutic benefit, you need to be under that 10 or 15, which is very difficult because there's even foods that you consider keto that have just tiny amounts of carbs in them too, and over a day trying to still feed yourself, well, you sort of get there. But over the best part of 4 months, I've had not a drop of alcohol, not none, under 10 or 15 grams of carbs per day, very strict. I've had not a single processed food, so nothing. I don't believe I've had anything processed. And I've also had no seed oils. At least I don't think that I have. Everything I've cooked, which I cook 99% of the meals, like because I don't go out eating because I'm on this diet, I cook in either avocado oil or ghee. So maybe I've had a steak out where that's been cooked in some sort of seed oil, but 99% sure that I haven't had really any seed oil, nothing processed, no alcohol, deep ketosis. I've tested my urine and my blood, and I thought, why not just be a bit of a guinea pig to see, does this work? I'm having scans, or had scans, I'm having scans again. In 48 hours from basically now, I'll get the result of the MRI I just had, and I'll either be happy, sad, or I guess neutral, depending on what the scan shows. Hopefully there's no growth or reduction, I don't know. And of course, this isn't enough to give a clinical vision of, okay, this works or not, because you don't have multiple people. It's just me doing it. You know, the test is pretty bare bones, but I just wanted to give it a go. I've lost an unbelievable amount of weight. I feel really good. My sleep was very impacted the first probably month, but all in all, I'm really happy with it. It's just so restrictive because all I really eat is meat and eggs. That's sort of it. You could open it up a little bit more if you went to that 30 or 50 grams, but with how strict I am, because I'm not doing it for weight loss or feeling better, I'm doing it for therapeutic gain, which apparently you need to be in that. So before we get into this, before we get those results back, I just want to say that's what I've been doing. I've been doing keto in line with chemo, and I guess the next thing you'll see is the results of that. Now, I don't think I've forgotten anything. I filmed this before and forgot like half of it. I don't think so. If you've got any questions about it, please let me know. But the next thing I think you'll see is the scan, the results of the MRI. And it's not been very tough, but a bit harder few months of eating. But once you're used to it, it's pretty easy. Anyway, legends, I guess wish me luck. I'll see you in the next clip. So all in all, probably good news. It sort of goes from positive to negative to neutral. Maybe it sits in that neutral to good. We haven't seen any reduction in the size of the tumour, which is, of course, what we would love to see, but we haven't seen any growth of it either. The scan is showing stable, sort of no noticeable changes in it. I can put the scan result up here, and on one side I'll make a note of which one is the most recent and which one is then the one before. So, of course, over the past years we have had growth, but in this 3 and a bit month cycle, we haven't noticed any growth. Sometimes the tumours will be very receptive to chemo and will actually have a reduction in size and shrink. Mine has just never really reacted to the chemo like that, which is, it depends in which as the lens you put this through. One, you can say that's not good, it's not reacting to the chemo, but the other side of it, well, chemo's killing rapidly dividing cells and things growing quicker, so it can be a good thing that it's not having an effect to it either. So all in all, I'd say pretty good news. Always great to the neurosurgeon catch up and talk about everything other than tumours for half an hour at an appointment, speak about the world. It's sort of funny, after if you've worked with like these specialists for years and years, they become a bit of actually a friend and someone you look forward to seeing every couple of months. So I guess what we'll do from here is we'll march on with more treatment. I'll see my surgeon again in just over 4 months, or maybe just under 4 months. But she also did speak of there potentially is an opening for a clinical trial as well, as my tumour has a certain like genetic sequencing thing in it that this trial is open for. So there's potential of me getting put on something like that as well, but we'll just wait and see. But thank you for everything, legends. I'm going to get home and finish my normal videos talking about then the war in Ukraine.
Hey gentlemen, so I'm actually back in, well, maybe headquarters here, and I just was editing this video and realised I didn't talk about my ketogenic diet at all. Now, firstly, I just want to say I do actually own other hoodies, but this one's one of my favourite ones because it's my best mate's company, and, well, who wouldn't support his merch? Nude Homeline's fantastic. But the ketogenic diet, what do I think of it? Well, I think if you want your brain to really clear up, don't get that brain fog, that has been fantastic for me. Yes, I really did struggle with sleep. Cravings for the first couple of months, absolutely. As far as therapeutic benefit for something like this, well, as people will promise on the internet with anything, that it'll just, everything will fade away, that's a tumour cell or whatever. Well, that's just not the case. And of course it isn't the case, because otherwise everyone would do it. But do I think that there is real gain from this? Yeah, I absolutely think there is. And I think a lot of the gain is probably not coming from the keto, it's probably coming from the restriction of the diet, because you're cutting out any alcohol, you're cutting out a lot of oils, you've got nothing processed. As well, sugar is terrible for you. And I spoke to my neurosurgeon, who I've got a great relationship with, about this, and she said, well, look, it can't be a bad thing. There is some evidence to show it's a very good thing, and absolutely cutting out things like sugars and processed foods, that is absolutely brilliant. But is this therefore going to cure everything? No. And people will then say fasting. Well, I intermittently fast with keto anyway, and keto is very, very easy to do that because you feel so much fuller because it's just fats and protein. It's very easy not to eat until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, or even have one meal a day. So will I continue with this diet? I think that I will. The performance that I get neurologically compared to that afternoon crash that I get on carbs, absolutely, I don't want that. So I will continue on that. Will I unrestrict a bit of it over time? Yes. I haven't had a single cheat meal or anything in months. Now, health-wise, yeah, that's great. But I think I will, to be more sustainable, pull back a little bit and maybe have a cheat meal once every couple of weeks, or, excuse me, whenever is needed. So will I continue like this? Yeah, I enjoy it. Will it absolutely, just fade away any of those bad cells? Well, no. But also, one thing I will add to that is I already have these cells that are there and growing. It's already part of me, and I'm going through traditional medication to treat that. Something that really could starve off is a diet like this. There is some evidence to show if you don't have something like this, it can absolutely help clear out those cells, clear out fat off your liver, and potentially stop those cells from actually ever getting worse and, mopping them up as it goes. So I knew this was never going to come to a firm conclusion unless we got that scan and it was just empty head. But I think we did get something out of it. I feel good. I've lost weight. That's a massive one for these sorts of illnesses as well, is not putting weight on, processed, whatever. So I think I'll continue with it. I enjoy it. And the neuro, and this is a neurosurgeon speaking about this, thinks that it's a very good idea to cut out, especially sugars, if you can actually sustain it and be below that sort of therapeutic threshold as well. So again, this has been only a very short time in the grand scheme of things, so maybe we'll continue this and I'll keep updating as we go. But I just want to thank you guys for all of your support, and I really appreciate it from previously and into the future too. So I'll speak to you later on this evening with my usual videos. Thank you.